Conservative firebrand Laura Loomer won bigly in the recent primary and is now the Republican nominee for a position in Congress. But even so, big tech companies have flat out refused to let her advertise on their platforms, and conservative organizations are starting to complain. You're watching Tech Shark, bite-sized news for conservatives surfing the net. John Schwepp, the American Principles Project's Director of Government Affairs, sent an open letter to the FEC demanding it investigate how big tech companies are meddling with elections. The recent GOP nomination of Laura Loomer in the U.S. House race for Florida's 21st Congressional District shows how the electoral game has changed, and conservative organizations are finally taking it seriously. Now, Loomer made a name for herself as a right-wing provocateur. Her performance art and protests resulted in multiple social media and payment processing platforms completely blacklisting her. She was basically patient zero for big tech companies like Facebook, Twitter, and other platforms to see how much censorship they could get away with. In mid-August, Loomer explained to viewers how big tech appeared to be meddling with her campaign's very ability to reach supporters. She said her texts were being flagged and filtered by Xfinity Comcast as, quote, potential threat detected.
Potential threat detected. So if you get something on your phone that says potential threat detected, you're likely not going to want to click on it because you're going to be concerned about what that threat is, right? So you can see.
Loomer then demonstrated with her phone in the video how even if users were brave enough to still click the link, the phone quickly rerouted to a screen that stated, "This site might compromise your device or contain dangerous content. To avoid these risks, close this window and skip the site." In a video on her YouTube channel, Loomer stated,
"Up until this point, my campaign has found ways to work around that. But today, a drastic escalation happened, and I'm making this video to document it so that you see that the censorship has moved from the big tech social media companies to the telecommunication companies themselves."
She has condemned big tech companies for appearing to have a vested interest in sabotaging her campaign efforts. She said, "I'm the only federal candidate in the nation banned from advertising on Facebook."
As a candidate for Congress who has raised over $1 million and, like I said, is the front runner, my campaign is still being denied access to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and PayPal. We are the only deplatformed campaign in the nation.
Loomer lamented, "My competitor, Lois Frankel, is running ads on Facebook to reach voters, and my campaign is shut out." She then declared that Facebook's moderation here is a case of, quote, illegal election interference. With all that in mind, Schwepp asked the FEC if social media companies should be allowed to distribute, quote, campaign-related messages and advertisements for some political candidates while categorically refusing to do the same for others. Now here's the shark bite. I constantly hear people talk about how socialists and communists are gonna take over and yada yada. Let me tell you, long before you gotta worry about socialists taking over, you gotta worry about liberal corporations selling you out. It's not an endorsement to say big tech needs to treat Laura Loomer fairly. Loomer was right when she argued that she was patient zero for censorship. Same thing that happened to her can easily happen to any of us, and likely will if nothing is done. I know some people say social media doesn't matter. That's the town square where America debates over ideas. You lose every debate that you don't show up for. Access to social media isn't about making sure we have likes and validation. It's about making sure we have a voice in the arguments for America's soul. A big tech companies censor conservatives on their platforms, so then conservatives build their own platforms. Then liberals try to shut down those new platforms by coming after their payment processors, or even get conservatives removed from banks. Now, even when conservatives run for office, companies will literally block their campaign messages. Look, the marketplace ain't saving us, folks. It's time to embrace new tactics, or our democracy is toast. Thanks for watching Tech Shark. Once again, I'm Alex Hall with MRC-TV and Newsbusters Tech Watch. Have a good week.